and they're probably speeding towards me at like 90 miles an hour, like head on. Literally, I was pissed. I was like, you almost could have killed me. Like, what are you doing? Literally stay in your lane. But I was just like, listen, you're not about to stop me from this divine invitation that I am on my way to. And not only am I on a deadline to arrive at this certain time to meet Taj to record the podcast, and you're not about to make me late for that. But also, like, I'm doing this. Like, you're not going to stop me. I just knew that I was meant to be there. You know what I mean? And I just knew that I would be protected no matter what came up. And it was just so interesting to witness myself literally in the face of like this potential head-on collision. And I'm just like, bro, get out of my way. Like, no, absolutely not. Not today. I am on a mission to get to this place and to do whatever I'm invited to experience here. I love my life. I love my life. Hi. I didn't know I was going to talk about this. I didn't know I was going to talk about this today. Oh my God. Okay. The energy right now is, I can do this. I'm a big girl. I can do this. Maybe this would do better with like a co-host or conversation. My whole life is a prayer. You know when something is just like so fucking wild that like, what's the best case scenario? Best case scenario, I want to work with Kendrick Lamar one day. Listen, it's just you and me here. Ooh. You ready? I'm just gonna be honest, like that feels like bullshit. That's why I'm able to be so present. We all get to be playful and childlike and dream as big as we can dream. My kids are so cool. I'm just gonna talk about this as if nobody's listening, because the fruit of your life will tell me what's going on in your heart. Okay, I'm ready. Testing. Hi. Oh my God. Welcome to episode 1 of season 3 of the Let's Get Woo Woo podcast. My name is Vanessa, and I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so glad to be here. I did say while I was on my break where I couldn't stay away, and I did a bunch of bonus episodes when I was like in my fast periods and stuff, because I wanted to capture it. But I did say that I wanted to have a little bit more, I don't know if structure is the right word, but like I want to do some grounding in the beginning. So this is my Tibetan singing bowl. It's one of a set of 3. And this is a crystal that I had taken with me to the ocean. And it still has ocean sand in it. And it's a little rusty because last time I went to the ocean, not this past time, but the time before that, I put ocean water in it. And I didn't try them well enough. So they got a little rusty. But I'm going to invite you to do some grounding here with me because I need it. First of all, because it takes a lot to get all this set up. And yeah. So I invite you to come fully into your body right now. What always helps me is I just put my hand over my heart and I try to feel my heartbeat through my chest on the palm of my hand. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Sigh it out. Deep breath in. Let it all out. One more deep breath in, filling up your whole belly. Sigh it out. Let it all go. Hi, how are you? Well, if you're here, welcome. And maybe it's for a reason, you know. I will say that part of me was a little disappointed because I recorded this episode on the beach with the ocean, like the real ocean behind me. And long story short, I didn't hit record. Wasn't the first time. However, it was just really it was a really magical moment, and maybe that's why, like, it was just, some things are just too precious to share, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to believe in the divine timing and just outcome of everything. And even when I was driving back from San Diego was when I realized that it never recorded, because I went back to listen to it, at least the first half. The second half did. I was like, okay, yes, that sucks. And you're allowed to be disappointed about that. And don't allow that disappointment to define your entire trip and the thousands of magical moments that you experienced while you were on this trip and leading up to this trip and really this entire year. Um, it was one thing that happened, and you wanted it because it was really special, and it really encapsulated like the energy of it, and like kind of going forward into season 3 as like an intro to all of that. But it just isn't. So let's move forward with what is and be really grateful for all the beautiful moments and all the things that you did capture. Like, I was able to record, I met with Taja Moore, who is my teacher for my soul school, the soul school that she created, Arkara, and just the founder of Becoming No One and so many different things that she does. But more recently, building this community in this school, which has been just, I feel like, just divine timing in my life for all the information, wisdom, and everything that comes through. Um, and I got invitation to go to San Diego like 3 weeks before I went. So I just came back this past Sunday, right? And a few weeks ago, I was literally at work Friday getting ready to leave. And I literally, like, I don't have clear audience. It's not like an audible voice, but I feel, go to the ocean. And I'm like, what? Me? What? For what? Like, okay. I didn't say for what, because, like, you know, I'm like, the ocean, yes. And it was a really, I could feel like it was a really sweet invitation. It wasn't like a urgency. It was like a just, here's this invitation of like a gift, and would you trust me to take this and meet me there, by spirit, by God, by the ocean. And I was like, yes. It took all of about like 33 seconds before I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I started to get excited immediately. And I did some videos and I posted those on my TikTok and stuff like that, YouTube, because I love to capture things like that in the real, like, true raw moment of it and the emotion of it and the process through it. And at first I recorded a video. I was like, I got this invitation. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. And I booked my Airbnb like right then and there. And then I came back and I recorded another episode. I'm like, you know what? I'm playing small, but I actually know what this is. I know that this is divine invitation for something truly magical. And I feel like almost like the completion from one phase and season of life into the other, like a portal between the two, you know? And that's exactly what it was. And it was also an invitation with the ocean, going into the ocean to release and like alchemize so many things that have been coming up, like through even the soul school and the guided meditations and the sitting in stillness and silence through the fasts and everything. And so much that has transpired within the last like year, basically, and 10 years and, and my whole life. And like just bringing all that and saying, I'm grateful for these lessons before God, before spirit, and leaving it at the ocean, allowing her waters to like literally crash over me and like cleanse and release and almost like just baptize me as initiation for forging forward to whatever is calling me ahead, and just saying like, I trust you and I'm grateful and I love you and let's do this. Like use me, God, like whatever it is, use me, you know? So that was the energy of it going into it. That's exactly how it played out. And after I had done like booked my Airbnb, I was like, all right, this is the plan. 3 weeks out, I, aligned childcare and the timing of it, and it just worked out really beautifully. And one day after class, I also recorded this video and posted it. One day after class, I was like, I felt like the nudge to, okay, it's time. Ask Taja if she wants to be on your podcast. And I was like, what? What? Now? What? Because she lives in LA, and it's just, I always feel so inspired after the class with her. She just delivers so much wisdom from like within her knowledge base and also from beyond in her intuition and all this stuff. And it's just a really beautiful, like, time and space and community and energy. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to San Diego. I got this just kind of nudge and invitation from spirit to go. Would you like to be on my podcast? And two, these are the dates that I will be in Southern California. I can come to you. You can come to me. Literally, whatever you want to do, you'd be doing me. It's an honor for me. You'd be doing me a favor, and however it's easiest for you. And she replied back, and she was like, basically, yes. I forgot how she said it, and she was like, I can come to you. And I was like, really? Okay. And so that, and then we organized the logistics around it, and I drove up there on Thursday, and she had just gotten to like the Airbnb when I pulled up. So I'm getting there. I'm completely flustered. The trip in and of itself was exactly what you would imagine it to be when you're going to do something like this. I feel like there's always a little bit of resistance and tension and spiritual warfare, whatever you call it, leading up to something that's really like going to assist in your liberation and alchemization of like just old shit that you need to move out and you want to move out, and moving up levels. And I don't know why or what it is, forces in the universe, whatever it is, just a final test of like, how bad do you really want this? How much do you actually trust? Because, okay, I was on my way there really quick. I was driving. It's a 2-lane highway. So these cars are going this way. This car's going this way. I'm going probably like 70 miles. And then this car out of nowhere is like trying to get over on the lane where I am to pass up the car that's over here. And they're probably speeding towards me at like 90 miles an hour, like head on. And literally, I was pissed. I was like, you almost could have killed me. Like, what are you doing? Literally stay in your lane. And I had a moment, but also like afterwards, I was like feeling it in my body. I was like, holy shit, like this collision could have happened if it was like a few seconds later. Like he almost flipped his shit over. It was intense. And got out in time. Obviously, I'm here. Thank you, God. Thank you, angels. But I was just like, listen, you're not about to stop me from this divine invitation that I am on my way to. And not only am I on a deadline to arrive at this certain time to meet Taj to record the podcast, and you're not about to make me late for that, but also like I'm doing this. Like you're not going to stop me. And it was just funny because it was like, I just knew that I was meant to be there. You know what I mean? And I prayed for protection as I drove away and on the way and all these things. And I just knew that I just knew that I would be protected no matter what came up. And it was just so interesting to witness myself literally in the face of like this potential head on collision. And I'm just like, bro, get out of my way. Like, no, absolutely not. Not today. I am on a mission to get to this place and to do whatever I'm invited to experience here. And that's exactly what it was. And I had absolutely no doubt in my mind that I was going to get there. And like, it was almost, it felt like child's play. Like, okay, like stop playing, just leave me alone. I got shit to do, you know? And I think when you come with that bold expectancy, either towards something or you just know that something is yours, like without a doubt, you know that this is something that has my name on it, this experience, this time and space, all of this. I was given a divine invitation for this. Nothing is going to stop me. I'm going to be carried through, protected, guided, favored, grace, all of it, immersed in spirit and divine favor, you know. And I was, because one, I believed I was, and because I just was. I think both of those kind of play hand in hand like this of like, you believe it and, you know, well, how does that go? So to it shall be unto as your faith. I don't know how to say it. Basically, whatever you believe is what you're going to receive. And also, I believe it because I just know that it is true, that that's what is for me. You know what I mean? So it's like a really beautiful cycle of like that self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will, or belief in that. But yeah, that happened. I got there. We recorded the episode. I've been editing it. Thank God that that captured. And that's what, when the other one didn't record, and I was like, you know what? All good. I'll take that. I'll take that L, because the episode that really mattered to me that I cannot recreate on my own is the conversation that I recorded with Taj. And thank God the audio, I got the two different angles, which I have going here. So pretty cool. That captured, and I'm editing that, and that should be published within the next about week and a half and everything. And I was just like, when she said yes, and I even recorded the video like talking about it, I was just like, I feel so honored to hold space for anybody. I just feel like story is sacred, but like in particular, what the work that she has done and her devotion to first herself and for the dismantling of distortion collectively and her integrity to truth, period, has been so just integral in my journey in the last year plus personally. And on top of the things that she's doing with the community and collectively and sharing what she's led to share, and evident, like her qualifications clearly evident by the immense amount of inner work that she has done in the self-confrontation, and even the confrontation with relationships in her life that she went into in depth in the conversation. And I felt so honored to not just meet her, but like be able to hold space for her and her story. And before I got there, I sent her like a message of like kind of what to expect. And I was like, listen, I know you're used to showing up in the capacity of like teacher and practitioner. But I really invite you to show up as guest. And I want to hold space for you and your story. And it turned out to be just absolutely perfect. We talked for over, it was like 3.5 hours. And I'm debating right now as I'm editing it if I want to divide it into 2 or 3 parts. I think we're going to go with 2. But it flowed and it flew by. And then afterwards, like we went to go get tacos, and it was just such a like, it was just so cool. Like it was just fun hanging out with her, and such a beautiful opportunity. And the fact that like I was able to capture that and we'll be able to share it as a conversation and able to hold space for her story. Like it was so beautiful. It was such a gift. And then I came back and I went to the ocean that night. to just kind of greet the ocean and sit with God in stillness. I love going to the ocean at night. I think I love it even more than going during the day. Like a sunny, I don't go to the ocean for the beach. Like I don't go for like beach. I go for the ocean. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but I go for, oh man, like just the vastness is just so beautiful to me. I feel like when I was there this last time, it just felt like, because I sit with God, and it felt like the ocean was the spirit of God personified in the waters of the earth, in the waters of Mama Gaia. You know what I mean? And in class, we've been talking a lot about the earth and what that parallel looks like to our human bodies, and how they're both kind of comprised of like 70% of water, and how water is programmable, and talked about like just being able to set your intentions in water, and so many beautiful things about just water. Like I could go on about water for days. I think people who understand what I'm talking about just get it. You know what I mean? But that's why I like the ocean. And it's moving, like it's literally alive, and you cannot predict it. Each wave is different from the last. And like just being there in that energy of all those waves crashing, and the sound and the sand, like the earth herself and the sand, and like grounding that way, which is different than how I usually do, like in the grass by a tree here at a park. Um, and it was just so magical. Like, oh my God, I could just melt. And I planted my roots there energetically and physically through my tree pose. When I did my yoga on the beach a couple times, and to the point to where it's Vrksasana, I think is a Sanskrit for it. And you stand on one foot and then you alternate to the other on the next pose. But the first asana, so like, I'm standing, and then you, when I guide in yoga, when I teach yoga, I guide this asana like this. So imagine that your eyes are open because you need to balance, unless you're like really good. But you're imagining roots just growing out of the bottom of your foot into the earth, connecting down to the core of the earth. And when you touch the core of the core of the earth kind of lightning streams up the energy of the earth back up onto you, and you're connected to the earth that way. And then you grow your tree, the leaves of your tree, and you're like this on one foot, right? And you either have your drishti, like your eye gaze, either in front of you, or you can look up to the sky, which is what I like to do, because I'm just like, thank you. So much gratitude. And just like that connection of the energy from your body into the earth, just such a beautiful way to ground. But I was like, I did that intentionally, energetically and physically, like I said, planting my roots in San Diego on the shore of the ocean, because I'm like, this is my home. And I really felt it there. And I was there, and it was so many beautiful experiences. Like I just, man, so many parts. Sorry. So many parts that I want to talk about at the same time. But basically, it was such a gift, and the invitation. And it was just like, really enjoy yourself, like to your heart's content. You know what I mean? And it felt like a yes day, like a weekend of yes day, like literally whatever, like I saw, I was like, yes. You know what I mean? Like I didn't say no to myself at all. And it was like a very embodied, like, what do I want to do now? And I loved the fact that, like, besides when I first got there and we had that episode and conversation recorded, the rest of the time, the rest of the 3 or 4 days was a blank canvas of space and time. And I just loved that, because literally I just went wherever like the wind blew of inspiration, of like, what do I feel like doing now? And I would sit with myself, and I would like, I remember even like on Saturday morning, I was like, what do I want to do? And it was like, there was the shoulds of like, you should get some work done. You should do this. You should start editing the podcast. You should. And I was like, wait, hold on. First of all, who is talking right now? Okay. Let's all be quiet. And then second of all, I can do that stuff when I get home. You know what I mean? What is it that is here that I was invited to here that I cannot experience when I'm back at home? And I'm like, the ocean. The ocean. This is what I come for. And so I did. I spent every day at the ocean, every night at the ocean. It was just so beautiful. I captured a lot of content, which is what I wanted to do to capture for my frequency music channel. That was one of the things that I did want to do. But that was like I was at the ocean, so I was already in bliss, in utter bliss, and I guess doing work, but like it was just so beautiful. Like here I am, like just witnessing the sunset on the ocean and capturing it, and it's like wow. Like this is part of my work. This is part of my creativity that I'm doing, and like work and businesses that I'm launching and everything. And it's like I just felt so at home in this life, and it was like a few days of this, of a taste of this life, and being kind of local there. La Jolla has my heart because the home's there off the beach. Yes, please, thank you. Um, but also where I stayed was, I don't even know what part of San Diego it was, but it was San Diego. And the Airbnb that I stayed at was literally a 3-minute walk from the ocean. Um, like it was a block and a half. And I was just so grateful. It was so magical. It was so beautiful. Yeah. I'm going to put together some videos. I documented a lot. I vlogged a lot, which was really fun. It just felt right in the moment, whatever I did. It was so fun to like capture, and you know me, I just be talking to myself. So like this is why there's never a dull moment. When I say I literally love being in my own company, me recording it is just kind of giving somebody else like a bird's eye view of like what it's like for me to be around me, because there's just so much going on here. Um Leading up to this experience, um and I've actually recorded the about three podcasts. There were bonus episodes after season 2 ended, because I was in the middle of experiences of doing these fasts where I was just very present was the theme, and like silence and stillness and deep listening, and like all of these things that also was divine invitation to kind of consecrate my vessel and purify, and not just physically but energetically and emotionally, and that of my lineage, the DNA that lives inside of me, especially through the soul scorecard with Taj. We don't bypass anything. We don't shy away from anything, and she holds us accountable, which is, I think, a lot of the reason why we're there. And it's like we go back and we confront those things within our inner child experiences, within our any trauma that's stuck in the body. We sit with it, we look at it. And when I say alchemize, I just mean that like you sit there and you witness it until it feels seen and it feels heard. And typically what happens in that, it's like a very kind and gentle exchange, like you would sit with a child who's hurting, literally. And in that witnessing, and that whatever pain or trauma that was stuck there or emotion, it kind of just lifts the heaviness off of it, and it begins to dissipate, begins to dissolve. And sometimes it's instantaneous, and sometimes it takes multiple rounds of that sitting with it and holding it, and then the integration of that afterwards. But it's just that, and also working with ancestors, which I had never really done before. And I received a message via her of like, your ancestors feel like you're judging them. I was like, okay. I used to. I did. I used to. And I've through that like conversation, I've grown definitely more like open, and through just like my own experiences of like realizing that, like my abuelitas, for example, are helping me, are helping me. I've talked about this before on the episode I did of on sacred mothering and just wounds. I think it was episode 32. I don't know. Um, but I talked about how I can feel my abuelitas and their mothers and their grandmothers and their grandmothers like rising up around me to help me in this life, because they didn't have the option to walk away from abusive husband. They didn't have the option to say, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to be a single mom of X amount of children, but I'd rather do that than take whatever it is. You know what I mean? They didn't have that option and I do. And I feel like I'm not living into this life just for me. Like this is also not just a tribute to their sacrifice and their love and everything that they did, but also to their own liberation, because that's how energy works. When I say alchemy, that's how it works, is that you free yourself and the generations going forward from any sort of generational patterns or whatever it was that have plagued your lineage for generations. And the beautiful and benevolent thing about that is that energy actually goes forward to like my children and their children, but it also goes back. And there's like almost like a redemption of that. And so I'm not living this life and facing and confronting all of these things within myself and within my lineage, because it's all of their DNA that works together to comprise my DNA and my daughter's. And, you know, that's just how it works physically, biologically speaking. So it lives in our cells, and that's why it's in our body. And that's why it's so important to go to the body and experience it viscerally. Like when something comes up and you feel a sensation in your body, that's your body communicating to you saying, hey, there's something here. Sooner rather than later, take some time in stillness and sit with this. Literally talk to your body and listen and see what emotions come up, see what memories come up. If tears come, they come. Journal about it afterwards to really help to like ground it and just kind of solidify the process of that transmutation of the energy. And it's been a really sacred calling, a really sacred experience, something that I don't take lightly, but also in the playfulness with my daughters and my own inner child, like going to San Diego and just having so much bliss and joy and playing in the ocean, whatever it is. That's the gift that I offer both back to my ancestors who didn't really have the option to experience that type of freedom with themselves in their own bodies, in their own autonomy, in their own like solitude. Like this is never even an option. But also with my kids to say, I'm going to parent you the best way that I know how and allow you to have your voice and your autonomy. I don't do it perfectly. And when I fuck up, I go back and I repair and I apologize with specificity and I try my best. You know what I mean? But like all of that is honoring everything that they sacrificed, because they couldn't do things like that for themselves, because it was survival mode, because it was, I have to stay to protect my children. You know, I don't have the option to leave because women don't have rights economically, socially, politically, in all the ways. And I'm honored. I'm honored to be able to be one to continue to carry the torch, because what they did was not for nothing. And even my parents, like I think posted something earlier today about how my dad was really into education and all that transpired in my life. But like the leap that they took from moving from Mexico to Illinois to America, and they got their citizenship and all these things, and we were born here. And the way that my dad just had a vision for the life that he wanted to create for himself and for his family, and executing that beautifully, wow, like I would not be the person and the woman that I am today without all of my parents' love and devotion and sacrifice. And I didn't always see that. You know what I mean? I didn't always see that. I didn't always have appreciation for that. Um, but it's something that I know that like I've been put here literally in this physical position. My parents are my neighbors. And it's been a journey, but like to really reconcile like that relationship and redeem a lot of it, and for me to really be open enough in my heart and with my eyes to see the immense beauty in their devotion to us, even though it's imperfect. Like, how many times do I have imperfect days with my daughters? You know what I mean? But like, we do the best that we can, and we love every which way that we know how. And they absolutely did. And they themselves were a portal from the previous life of our lineage into this life, and now I'm carrying the torch forward, with all of that strength and support around me, and it just feels really beautiful. It's a true honor. And also, my stubborn tenacity is like, good, because I'll be damned if I allow this to continue. Like, not on my watch. This shit ends with us. Not on my watch, not with my daughters. I don't play about my daughters. And that's also, I feel like, just the fire of all of my abuelitas going back for generations of like, they didn't have that option to rise up in their lives in their autonomy and their sovereignty in the way that I do. And that's why I feel like there's just so much power and love and pride and celebration literally holding me up. Um, so that I covered so much when I recorded that episode, with the ocean behind me. I'm gonna keep the second half of it, so you're gonna see that, just switch from this to that. And I was talking about the story of the twins, and I had recorded an episode. I think it was episode 43. Yeah, where I talked about the miracle story of Journey and Avea, which is the book that I'm writing, of their birth story and that pregnancy and everything. And I talked about how God so okay, we had twins. They were diagnosed with twin to twin transfusion syndrome, a super high risk pregnancy, had to have in utero surgery at like 21 weeks pregnant, was flown out to Colorado, flown back on bed rest. Thank God that we all survived the surgery. That in itself was a miracle. Got back, and Nevaeh was diagnosed with critical pulmonary stenosis and was given the diagnosis of she is critical and failing. Like, she looks like she's going to die. And I was like, I'm not coming back to see you for a long time because you're telling me that there's nothing you can do for me. And I don't want to keep hearing this from you. And while I was at home on bed rest, I kept seeing the words fully healed, fully healed. And I was praying for God give us the best doctors, give us the best heart surgeon to give her the heart surgery when she's born, because that's what they told us she would need. And I kept seeing the words fully healed. And I felt like God was telling me, inviting me to ask me to fully heal her. And I did. And long story short, beautiful long story short, she's fully healed. And so this is where the story had continued. After that, they were in the NICU, and when my mom came in to visit, the NICU nurse was like, "Oh, that's where they get their green eyes from. Your mom has green eyes. Like, that's so beautiful." She said, "What a beautiful tribute to your mom." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, when babies have brown eyes, like 99% of our family has, they look light at the beginning. They look kind of like a bluish tint. But these were green, and I was hopeful. I was like hopeful that like they were going to stay green. And yeah. Anyways, the rest of that story is on the other side of at the ocean. I don't know what happened. So they had my mom's green eyes, and the nurse was even, when my mom came to visit, she's like, oh wow, that's where they get their green eyes from. And you know, when babies are little and they're born with brown eyes, they have kind of like a blue tint over them. Like they're so dark, they're kind of blue. That's how most of like my nieces and nephews and my first daughter had their eyes. Probably me too. But this was different. This was like a hazel green. And I remember thinking, kind of like being nudged or invited to like ask God, like, oh, how beautiful, like what an honor, like a tribute to my mom that they would be the only grandkids that had her eyes. Like she prayed for them day and night while I was pregnant with them. And what a tribute, what a beautiful tribute that would be for them to carry like her eyes and be the only ones with that. My brother did too, but like of the grandkids. And I actually had the thought of like, you know what, Vanessa, haven't you asked for enough? Like, haven't you, your babies are already here, they're healthy, you know, God's fully healing them. I think you've asked for enough. And it was like, there was like an invitation there that I missed, to have the audacity and the bold expectancy that God wants for us. And it's never too much. Like, we're never asking for too much, especially when it comes from a place of a pure heart and a true desire, not just like a material want necessarily. It's like, what is the deeper meaning under this desire for you, this longing? But I learned the lesson of like, when you have something in your heart that you desire, ask with bold expectancy, because God delights in giving good gifts to his children. And yeah, it was just really beautiful. And so now I've really settled into my worthiness. I remember this one time I was doing like a guided meditation, or even just a meditation, when I was at work on one of my breaks, and after the twins had come home, and I was pumping to get milk out, and I used to like kind of center myself and ground so that the letdown would come and the milk would be able to be extracted more easily. And I had this like vision, like with God, where God was holding me on his shoulders, like a father holds a little girl, and she's just up and able to see the entire world, and this daughter is like this dad's pride and joy, and she just is literally on top of the world, and just knows that like she could do no wrong with this father, and he loves her and he would give her anything. And it was like, that was me, and God was holding me up like that, and I was like God's pride and joy, and kind of showing me for the whole world to see his glory through the light that shines through me. You know what I mean? That joy, that heart, all of it. And it was in that moment that I got the words lavishly worthy, and I kind of stapled those to my identity of what God has called me. And it's in that knowing, in that truth of my identity and who I was created to be, that God has called me lavishly worthy. And basically to say, literally, ask for whatever your heart desires. And it's not like it's going to be like a guarantee yes, like there's never a guarantee. It's like ask, and we can co-create it together, and figure out why you want this, and you know, what's the deeper underlying longing for that, and let's create this beautiful life together. And it's like, it doesn't make a difference to God what you ask for. It doesn't cost God more effort to, let's say, give you a $20 million home on the beach, or a $200,000 home, and you're asking, what's the difference is your belief in your own worthiness, and that God sees you that way, and like just cherishes you so much. And also your faith that God is not only willing to, but is able to bless you with the biggest dream that you have, and excited to co-create that dream and fulfill that longing for you, and create this life and these experiences for you in so much beauty and love and presence, especially in that communion with him. It reminds me of delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And it reminds me of seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. And like, I've recently been settling in more in my messages that I share of like, I am on mission, and I have been on mission since literally when I was conceived. Like, I'm just somebody who my lineage has been calling me to rise up and alchemize so much of the stored trauma through our lineage and DNA that has carried through my abuelitas, my parents, me, and our children. And it's like,
Now is the time to rise up and heal. Heal through God, through spirit, through optimization, through truth, through feeling all of the stuck energy in my body, because it's there viscerally, because that carries through, feeling it and releasing it, and showing up with my daughters in the ways that I know how and the tools that I have, and with grace and compassion. And it's just like this, any generational patterns that are here for me to alchemize, I will do, because literally the shit stops with us. Like anything to where the women in my families had stayed in relationships with men with abusive ass, terrible husbands, because they were protecting the survival of their children, and they had to sacrifice that so that they could live and their children could live and be alive. There was so much survival mode and scarcity and poverty and abuse and trauma and all of that, and like unworthiness and just so much stuff that carried through. And my parents, I'm in awe of my parents and how much they jumped leaps and bounds from where they came, and they had to fight so hard to sacrifice to give us the lives that we had. Such a beautiful life. Like little things like they weren't emotionally available and how that affected me emotionally, and even those things I needed to experience. But they loved us with 100% of every single way that they knew how, and they continue to support us in every which way. And I appreciate them so much and love them so much for it. And I wasn't always able to see that. And just them and my Laditas, and I just appreciate their sacrifice and their fight so much, so that in this moment I could rise up in my life and my being with every experience that I've had, and the tapestry of my ancestors and my whole life and every moment, to build me into the person that I am now. And it's like, now it's go time. It's time. It's time to do this work. It's time to heal all of this, not just for my family and my lineage back and forth going forward, but also humanity as a whole. And as I exist more in my life and in my beingness, in my body, in my spirit, my heart, with that heart coherence with my mind, and I learn all these things, all these beautiful things that I'm learning in this soul school, and just me existing, literally, I don't even have to interact with anybody, is such a contribution to raising the frequency on this planet and humanity itself. Like, it's so beautiful, and I know that in my core, and that's why, like, I can ask for any blessing, and I know that I'm on mission, and I've devoted my entire life and everything that I do for all of this calling, and God is blessing me with every single desire, and in such a beautiful and fun and joy-filled way, and I just love it so much. I also want to know that I hope that whoever listens knows that this is a very safe space, and that I did used to be Christian. I actually grew up Catholic, and then in my older years, in like my 20s, I was going to a non-denominational Christian church, in which I first was introduced to reading the Bible for myself, and it really came alive to me in spirit, and I love that season of my life. And then I felt like I walked away from Christianity, but I just wanted to give God a chance to speak for himself, you know what I mean, without preconceived notion or text of what it was supposed to be. And because I have that really close, intimate, personal relationship with God, and I always have, God has always been my best friend and always will be. Spirit, thank you. I just trusted that, like, God would speak for himself. But I also want to acknowledge that there's people who call it source, there's people who call it the universe, who relate better through nature, through whatever means, through spirit, through whatever, through your own heart, and just going inward. And I even heard Energy, shout out to Energy on YouTube, once say, God doesn't have a name. And I thought that was so poetic and so beautiful. Honestly, this might offend some people, but I don't think God cares what the fuck we call him. I really don't. And I really get a kick out of it when people call God her, when they refer to God as she. I love that. I'm just so used to calling God him and calling God God that that's what I use. I'm not going to disclaimer every time I say it like people do. And if you do that's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to be like God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's too much. But just know that you are welcome here, and it's spirit. It's just I am the Most High, and I love even was it the story with Moses when he's like, reveal yourself to me, and he's like, you wouldn't be able to handle this, and he's like, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put my glory in this bush by way of fire and pass by it, something like that. And he's like, you can't handle the whole thing, but I'll give you like a little taste. And I think it was blinded. You know what? It's been a while. Anyways, he was asked for his name. God was asked for his name, and he's like, basically, like, all I can say is, I am that I am. I just am. I just exist, and I really love that. Yeah, I didn't really have anything planned for this. I wanted to record something while I was here, and so here we are. Welcome to season 3. It's going to be magical in this year of 2026 that continues of devotion to myself. Welcome. I've been posting more on social media, which has been fun. Just kind of whatever little bits or messages of inspiration come through, I've been sharing, and kind of playing with my edges with that and seeing what feels comfortable, what I like to share, what feels natural, and trying to use discernment on like what to share and what not to share, and what I want that to look like. The vision is still being envisioned, being received. But I just feel so soft and in this like beautiful, divine, truly divine energy, divine and feminine energy of like being able to receive everything that God has for me at this time. And it feels big and it feels amazing. And also at the same time, these moments that I've spent with God here, these beautiful like moments of like alchemizing through the ocean and spirit and God and worship, like, are really my truest heart's desire. Yeah.
Let me center real quick and do an ending for this. Last year, I remember the moment. It was, you hear me talk about Jadina a lot, who's my favorite YouTuber. Her handle on YouTube is Conversations with Jay. And she literally, I have not had anyone speak as much life over me as this woman has. She does channels messages, and it's a big reason why I've been catapulted into this kind of audacious, like, just go for broke type of going after my dreams and everything at this space and time in my life. But last year she delivered a message, and when I heard it, it just clicked for me. And this is the moment that scarcity died in my life. And I saved it somewhere, so maybe I'll link it so you can watch it. But the words that she said was, the universe loves to spoil you. And I was like, oh, I felt that. I felt it in my bones. I felt it in my body. I was like, yes. Like, oh my God, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Of like, literally, the universe just loves to spoil you. Like, and in that moment, literally scarcity died for me in my life. And I was just like, there's no real limitation. Just like when we breathe and we don't think about, next Wednesday, am I going to have enough oxygen? I should ration this out. And am I going to have enough oxygen to breathe next Wednesday? Is there going to be enough? In that same way is how there's no scarcity in anything. It's not true. Meaning everything is abundant because we create reality. We create reality. We ask and we receive. And in order to receive, you have to be in a state of surrendered trust and a softness to be able to receive and allow that which you desire to experience to flow in. I really love this story. I was reminded about this a few months ago. Somebody was over here and he picked up a book off of my bookshelf, and it was Dr. Wayne Dyer, who I love. My dad introduced me to him. And I've been reading his books and listening to his talks for years now. But this was probably in like 2011. I went to Maui with it was my first ex-husband. We went with a couple. And, I live in Mesa, Arizona. And so Maui is obviously across a piece of the ocean. And at the time, I was like listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer still like pretty actively. And I was like, and he tells a lot of like tidbits of his story in his talks because that's what you do when you talk. And I knew that he lived in Maui. I think he had like 7 kids. And I just had the thought. I didn't even say it out loud. I didn't even journal it or write it down. I just had this thought. And it wasn't even a request. It was just literally, oh, Dr. Wayne Dyer lives in Maui. Wouldn't that be cool if I saw him? And that was the end of that. It was the end of that. I didn't do anything else. I didn't think about it anymore. That was it. And so we go there. We were there for a week. And one of the days we got tickets to go to this luau. And it was like next to a hotel. And we're like kind of turning around in this parking garage to go find parking over here. And when we go in there to turn around, I see this tall, bald white man with these blue booty shorts on and just sneakers and like a lot of skin, just nipples all out. You know what I mean? And I knew from the stories that he shared that he ran 6 miles every day. So he's a runner. And I was like, huh. I was like, that looks like, no. I was like, does that look like Dr. Wayne Dyer to you? And I was just like, we like turn around the corner and like, I'm like, holy shit, it's Dr. Wayne Dyer. Like literally like, what? I am here in Mesa, Arizona. I fly across this little piece of the ocean all the way to Hawaii, to Maui. And I'm just thinking like, oh, he lives there. Wouldn't that be cool? We get lost in this parking garage and like we're turning around trying to find our space and there he is. And I was just like, and I got out and I talked with him and he gave me the biggest bear hug. I don't have the picture anymore because it was in that computer that I used to share with that ex and it's gone. But like it's in my head. And it was like this and he was just holding me. Oh my God. And it was just this like, and I didn't realize it till years later, probably like till like last year or the year before that. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, how did that happen? Like, how did that? I didn't even like really even barely intended for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's just such a really fun story for me to like go back and sit in it and remember like you can literally create whatever you want to create out of your life. And there's just moments of magic that are like just little glimmers of this is a gift, you know? But I really love that story. He continues to be one of my mentors in spirit through his books. He passed away the year that Selah was born, I think the day after my birthday. And he was a really big gift to, I think, this world. People who know him and have used his work and been inspired by it know what I'm talking about. But shout out to Dr. Wayne Dyer. And just the ability to be able to have a longing in your heart and for God, spirit, the universe to rise up, to conspire in your favor in the coming to fruition, the fulfillment of those longings and desires and dreams. And going forward in this year of 2026 in devotion to myself, oh my God, I just love it here so much. I love being in my own energy. I love being in stillness with God. Like I am at home in this heart space, in this presence, in this like inner work, in this creative work that I do, and whatever I'm being inspired to take action on or speak or say or share or create. Like it's literally my dream life. And being somebody who I'm just devoted to figuring this shit out, in particular, namely with like my nervous system and regulating myself and my emotions, alchemizing all of the shit from like past, both in my life and lineage before, to move forward with myself in my life and with my daughters and in their lives and their callings. I'm so honored to be here. I'm so honored to exist in my life as who I am and in this part of this lineage and as their mother, and to be able to be someone who I live in my life with spirit as my best friend. And that's why like my solitude is so sweet. Like I'm never alone. I'm quite literally never alone. And if it's not my own energy in my own heart, it's God, it's spirit, it's angels, it's ancestors, and it's just so beautiful. And I'm excited to see what the rest of this year unfolds as, and I'm also excited to see like just the next steps in the journey even after that and as a result of it. So I think it's really beautiful. When I came back Sunday night and Monday morning, we got back on routine and the girls started camp. And I came back and I took a shower and I was getting ready to go to work. And I was on my way driving to work. And literally, when I tell you that like I'm creating my life energetically first, this is what I'm talking about. Because I was in San Diego, I was living that life, grounded my energy there, and like declaring like this is my home. I will live here sooner rather than later. And I'm on my way to my clocking job, as I call it, and I cannot shake the feeling out of my body, out of my spirit, out of my mind that like I feel like such an imposter going back to this job, to this part of my life, to this work, because I know that I'm being called into doing different work, and I don't know through what means, but I know that God's going to provide for me to be able to do the work that is ready for me to do, that I'm ready to do, that I've been prepared to do, to be able to do that full time and to do it with full just luxury and lavish everything. And also I recorded a video yesterday. I was talking about abundance and I was like, I mean abundance in joy. I mean abundance in peace. I mean abundance in clarity. I mean abundance in direction. I mean abundance in spirit. I mean abundance in heart space with God. I mean abundance in a regulated system. I mean abundance in luxury and experiences and freedom of time and options. I mean all of it. I mean abundance in my beach home in San Diego off the shore of the beach, of the ocean. And I'm like, I'm not playing small. It doesn't make a difference to God if we ask for something massive, seemingly to us, or something small. And like I said in the portion that I recorded on the ocean, of like, it's not about, God didn't say, what do you want based on your limited beliefs, based on your just inclination towards scarcity, or just the way that you've been, what's the word? I'm losing it. Um, the way that you've been conditioned in scarcity. No, God didn't say based on that. God said, what do you want? What do you want? And let's start there. And that is the invitation for me. And that is the invitation for you, especially if you're here watching this and listening to this. You're here for a reason, and you're here because you feel the calling on your life. And I don't want you to look at it as like you're never comparing yourself to anybody else. You're never looking even at your entire life and being like, wow, it would be such a daunting task to have to change everything. Yes. Yes. And is it going to get harder before it gets easier? Probably. Probably. And is it worth it? Yes. And more importantly, are you worth it? Yes. Yes, you are. Fight for your life. Fight for your dreams. Fight for the longings of your heart, and know that you are supported. Know that the one who created you, the Most High, loves you, sees you, delights in giving you good gifts. Literally. And know that you have been called as lavishly worthy. And those desires in your heart, those deep longings in your heart are there for a reason, and you were created that way. And if you feel like you're being called to rise up and out of your old life, you probably are. And I would invite you and encourage you to do whatever it takes. To do whatever it takes, because it's worth it. You are worth it. Yeah. Whew. Episode 1, season 3. Thank you so much for being here. Truly, it means the world to me. And yeah, I don't know how I'm going to weave in this other episode. So just so you know, there's going to be a little bit of like editing. The ocean will be in there. You're welcome because she's beautiful. I love her so much. Anyways, my name is Vanessa, and this has been the Let's Get Woo Woo podcast. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to season 3. It's gonna be great. I love you. Have a good day. Bye.
You've been given a vision of something to create. Nobody sees this vision. Nobody's gonna see this vision. Nobody's supposed to see this vision. The vision is for you. If you wanted to be portrayed in a better light, you should have chosen different behaviors. It's like there's nothing to stop me. It's fun. I feel free. Like that's just the most delicious way to live my life. Like that communion with God, that presence with God is the gift. It is the thing that you're actually longing for. This is exactly where I want to be in this moment with nobody else but you right now, doing exactly what we're doing. And so I already feel like I'm living my dream life, like I am. Do you trust me? Do you trust me that I got you? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I do trust you. I trust that I see things that God has for me to see and that I can understand those things. It's been so liberating because it's allowed me to really trust myself. And like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm describing what it was like for me to be able to create something out of nothing. It'll be great. It's going to be wonderful.